You're listening to Community Connection here on KGMI. I'm Crystal King, and my guest today is Ziad Youssef with MyTrafficMan.net. Welcome.
Good morning, Crystal. How are you today?
I am doing fine. Now, Ziad, let's talk about MyTrafficMan.net. Let's kind of give an overview of what that is and why people should be checking it out.
I think people should understand why I even call it mytrafficman.net. I think people ask me, well, what kind of law do you practice for many years? And I said, well, I'm a traffic man. I focus on traffic-related violations. And I said it over and over. I'm a traffic man. And I want you to say, my traffic man is Ziad Youssef. And it just registered with me that we should create the website and call it mytrafficman.net. I think .com wasn't available at the time, but we own them both now. So you can go to either one and get to some great advice about traffic-related offenses.
And what we spoke about last time we talked is that it could be very simple traffic-related offenses to felonies.
Yeah, we do speeding tickets every day. People call us with questions about how does a speeding ticket affect my insurance? How does it affect my commercial driver's license? How does it affect my young teenage child who just got their first ticket? And we answer questions like that every day. And we also answer the tougher questions, like, is my son going to go to prison if he's charged with this? Is a DUI a felony? Which, by the way, it could be, but generally your first offense DUI is not a felony. But we answer traffic-related questions every day, and we try to put up information about traffic law on mytrafficman.net.
Okay, so let's talk about working a tougher case. What is it that you need to do when people come in saying, I don't know what to do?
Well, the first thing I like to do is remind people that it's free to come in and get some good advice. People are so intimidated about calling a lawyer because they think it's going to cost them money. So I always encourage them. I say, listen, whether you can afford to hire us, whether we can come to terms on a case like this or not, you should come in and get some free legal advice. So for the first hour on a tough case especially, I'm going to walk clients through, or one of the members of our team is going to walk clients through very good information about their case and how their case is going to proceed. And I tell them, even if you can't hire us at the end of it, we've performed our service. We've made you feel a little bit better about what's going to happen with you. If they understand the value of having a good team on their side, which is how we work. We actually put a team of lawyers on each case, because I believe that one attorney may know a lot or even everything, if that's even possible, about an area of law. They just can't do it all. And so it's more effective to put a team on a case. And what most people end up realizing is that it doesn't cost them much more, if at all. I like to encourage people, first of all, get an appointment, get some free advice, get reassured, or get a little more familiar with the process you're about to go through.
Now, you can get familiar with the process before you even step in by going to your website.
I think one of the most important steps in working a tough case is educating the client. And for example, on our website, if you'd go to the mytrafficman.net, you'll see to the left a link called You Should Know. Now, we're going to populate that link with many, many other blogs, if you will, or comments about traffic law. But right now, under the You Should Know, you're going to find a pretty valuable tutorial on how to prepare for and react during a DUI investigation.
So there are right and wrong ways.
I think there's a lot of wrong ways, and it's hard to say what's the right way, but there's a lot of wrong ways. I've put together this 3-part tutorial under the You Should Know link to the mytrafficman.net website. And with DUI emphasis patrols starting up from now until the end of the month, I think it's valuable to educate the client first on what they should do. And one example, don't get in your car if you've been drinking. That's the easiest piece of advice.
Or using marijuana now. They're talking about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because marijuana is one of those things that no one really knows how it stays in your system, and no one really understands what they're measuring. They're measuring active THC in your blood, and that only stays in your system for a few hours, but the metabolite stays in it for days. So people are really concerned about what is it. And it could be enough evidence to get you charged with the DUI. It doesn't mean that you're going to be convicted of it. But the best precaution you could take is just don't take the chance. But we also recommend people always check the equipment on their car before they drive it. Make sure your lights are all in working order. Make sure that your exhaust doesn't have some big loud hole in it. And then we recommend to people, if you're driving down the road and you're about to make that last minute turn, miss it. Just miss the turn, go straight. Don't make a last minute turn because you forgot or you're distracted or something like that. That'll draw law enforcement's attention.
What about road rage?
Road rage is one of those very significant phenomena that law enforcement takes very seriously these days. It's one of those where people end up doing things that they don't realize or didn't even think they had the capability to do just because they're stuck in traffic, they're late for work, they're reading an email on the way to work that's frustrated them.
Or even if you're slightly impaired, but you think you're okay to be driving.
It's just they say actually, if you're texting and driving, for example, the behavior, the way you drive is very similar to impaired driving. And so I have a lot of clients come in and say, I wasn't swerving because I was drinking. I was texting. I said, you're not helping yourself any. It just if the officer reasonably believes that you're impaired, they can arrest you. Now you're thrown into the system and have to explain it to the judge. Except at this point, you're not explaining a texting ticket. You're explaining a DUI where you could be looking at up to 1 year in jail and a $5,000 fine and maybe even a 1-year license suspension. It's pretty significant advice to avoid the things that you drive poorly and be prepared to drive effectively. We commit the resources of our firm to working that case. And by that, I mean we dedicate one attorney to research the legal issues of the case. We dedicate one attorney to negotiating the case. We may dedicate up to 2 attorneys if the matter goes all the way to trial. That is, if we can't resolve the case with the prosecutor's office without going to trial, then we may dedicate up to 2 attorneys for trial. Trial is always one of those last resorts because you try and get things resolved effectively by listening to what the client wants. During that first interview, what we do before we decide to invest the resources of the firm is we listen to the expectations of the client and we gauge how much of those expectations we can deliver. Because if you deliver the expectations of the client, you've done a very good job for the client. In order to get there, after having our initial interview, we'll do a roundtable at the office. And it's kind of like having a doctor sit down and you have 10 or 15 doctors give advice on what's the best way. And of course, too many cooks in the kitchen is always a challenge. But I find that a little discourse and disagreement always results in a very good outcome. I mean, great discourse, great results. We sit to a round table and we come up with a common goal for the case right after we've done an interview. And then we start working on it. We've divided tasks and we start to work the case. And working the case sometimes on a tough case includes deciding to rally community support or deciding to lobby the prosecutor's office for one position versus another. These are usually the bigger cases that touch the community. You know, it's a lot of cases go by where nobody really hears about it, but there are those cases that come by where the community is touched by it. The community wants to be involved in the case.
There's that emotional aspect, right?
It's very significant to the community. And whether you like it or not, despite the fact that it's personal to the client, the community's involved. So you have to make a choice about rallying community support, educating the community a little bit about what's going on, and then lobbying the prosecutor's office for a certain position on the case versus another.
And that's the benefit of having a team then.
It really is, because you can assign different tasks to each person, and each one is very valuable to the case. Researching the legal issues to the case ultimately is what gets you the best result, because prosecutors will tell you over and over again, your client's a very nice person, give me a legitimate reason to do this. And if you haven't researched the law, if you haven't investigated the fact, you can't effectively present a reason to do something good for the client. So we do that as the very beginning stages of the case. And what I like to do is tell clients that their identity is just what the prosecutor sees on paper, and it's our job to deliver that identity to the prosecutor's office and give it some more life for them.
Excellent. Again, we are talking to Ziad Youssef. He is with mytrafficman.net. How can people get a hold of you, Ziad?
I'd love people to call the office at 360-734-0908. And I'd like people to know that we have affiliate offices in Kitsap County, one in Bellevue, one in Okanagan County. And we encourage people to call the main number, 360-734-0908, because corporate headquarters is in Bellingham and Whatcom County.
Great. Again, thank you so much for being with us, Ziad.
Thank you.
And stay with us. We have lots more coming up.